And now WOON Radio presents The Mechanics of Business with Barry Mechanic.
Good morning. Welcome to The Mechanics of Business. I'm Barry Mechanic. Today my guest, once again, is Rick Norberg, president, owner of Vertikal6. Rick, thanks for being on again.
Good morning, Barry. Thanks for having me.
A couple of weeks ago, if you remember, Rick was on. We talked about the cloud and things. But first, again, just give us a reminder of what Vertikal6 does.
We are a technology company based primarily in southern New England. We do IT outsourcing, project consulting, and kind of the fusion of business and technology.
Right, but one of the things that's unique about your company was you don't just come in and support the hardware and the networks like many of people in this business. You also have folks who can help businesses decide what applications and how to use technology to really make their business more efficient. Sure,
that's one of the primary things I think we do these days.
So that's part of what I wanted to talk about because again, we talked about the cloud and servers and a bunch of other stuff weeks ago, but that's not really everybody has to have them. But there's technology out there, there's software out there that can help people become more successful in their business. That I think past the word processing and spreadsheets that a lot of people don't take advantage of.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the primary reasons to use technology in business is to make the business more efficient, to save on labor costs and make people more productive.
Right, as well as to help with the sales process and generate more interest. And there's a lot of those kinds of. So what are some of the when you go into a business and you're taking a look around that you start to look at and say, well, they should have X or they should have Y. What are some of the X's and Y's?
Sure. I mean, it sounds crazy that in today's world, in 2016, you wouldn't have a lot of these applications, but sometimes you go into a business and they haven't really looked at their technology in a while, and usually we start with the basics. What are you doing for finance? You'd be amazed at how many people aren't even on QuickBooks yet, that are just still doing it all by hand. So there's finance applications, which are one of the primary ones to make things more efficient and also be able to track what people are doing in real time.
And I was somebody who has QuickBooks and a customer called who hadn't ordered from them in a while, and he was able to just very quickly look them up, pull a copy of their last invoice, see exactly what they ordered. Mm-hmm. So that kind of information is helpful when you're talking to be able to do it, especially when you're on the phone with a customer.
Sure, not only from a customer service perspective, which is great, but also to know, on a real-time basis, like, who are my biggest customers? Who am I doing business with? Where are my collections? And you can just run multiple reports all at the same time, and within 10 minutes have a really good view of where you are.
Collections is an interesting part because there's an old saying, cash flow is king. Mm-hmm. So I've seen too many businesses where, we got tons and tons of sales. Sales are great. Our revenue is up, but they're not collecting any of their money.
Sure, absolutely. And in a moment's notice, you want to be able to look at that and go, where am I 60, 90, 30 days out with my clients?
And the other thing is, things like QuickBooks are not expensive.
No.
You can buy basic ones. Now they have a cloud version where you could just pay on the by month and there's different levels.
Yeah. And there's a lot of QuickBooks has evolved quite a bit so that if you're in a manufacturing environment, you can integrate it with manufacturing tools and EDI and other processes. So it started off with just QuickBooks or Quicken and just standalone applications, but now there's an entire ecosystem of applications that all connect together.
Okay, so you threw an acronym out, EDI.
EDI is Electronic Data Interchange, and let's say you are a manufacturer that works with Lowe's or Tractor Supply. When you go and provide your parts to them or whatever you're selling them, it's a way for you both to track where things are, what's going on, who's got a PO, where the money is, all those things.
And so this way, your two systems are basically talking to each other
electronically.
Yep. So you're keeping up, or the systems are keeping up, and you can then take a look and see where you're at in the process.
You can see where you're at in a moment's notice. You can handle things all electronically. Everything's tracked, and there's no paper involved at all.
Now, manufacturing is, and I've been involved with manufacturing systems for as long as I've been in business, and they've evolved. And actually, sure. The interesting part is the systems that I installed on standalone PCs 30 years ago have now grown into the major players sort of in the network world. But explain a manufacturing system, because...
Yeah, manufacturing systems can be as sophisticated or as simple as, like anything else you want them to be. So there are systems out there, ERP systems, which run manufacturing operations.
All
Where
right, another initial, ERP.
Enterprise Resource Planning, I believe, is what that acronym is. But that starts with, I mean, let's say you make cabinets or something like that. What it would do is control all of your parts, inventory, in the process of making the cabinets. So let's say at step 27 you need screws, and you're on step 14 and you don't have enough. It'll alert you and warn you. If you keep it, but again, it's like garbage in, garbage out, right? You have to make sure that you're putting all the information into the system.
So when you pull 4 screws to put something together, you've got to record in the system somehow that you pulled 4 screws.
Sure.
Or the system has to be set up that says, all right, I'm working on this, reserve all the inventory.
Well, let's say you're going to make cabinet A, and in the schematic for cabinet A, you know it needs 27 screws. And when you receive the screws in, if you use a barcoding system, which is, again, plugs into an EDI system, or it can be standalone, you tag those screws and you log them in, now you know you have them. So it automatically deducts from your inventory as you go through the system, which is the benefit of it, because you kind of know what you're doing, what's going on, whereas in most traditional manufacturers, you've got a parts wall, and you're like, I don't know if I have enough. Send somebody back there and take a look.
Somebody's running around going, oh my God, I'm out of this. Quick, take a run down to
or
to
call my
wherever
distributor and get them overnighted, or that sort of thing.
And it just delays the process. And these aren't complicated, super expensive systems. They don't have to be.
They don't have to be.
There's a system sort of at every size and price point almost.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like software. It has evolved into something like the car model or VCR model or DVD model, where you've got the real basic get me around the shop kind of thing. Then you've got a more sophisticated product. Then you've got a really sophisticated product. But for an entry-level manufacturing system, I mean, it's going to cost you probably tens of thousands of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I mean, for what you're going to get from that is the efficiency of labor and a better handle on what's going on within your organization.
And this is also one of the areas where the cloud comes, because a lot of companies realizing that, a lot of software manufacturers realizing that people don't have that kind of cash sitting around, have gone to the what's called SaaS, software as a service business, and you can become an online user and pay on a monthly basis.
We're getting to that point with manufacturing software. Traditionally, it's been in-house, but it's certainly moving towards the SaaS model.
Okay. With that, we're going to take our first break. You're listening to The Mechanics of Business. I'm Barry Mechanic. My guest is Rick Norberg of Vertikal6, who is a technology guru and helps companies become more efficient and effective by utilizing the right technology. And by that, I don't mean just hardware, but hardware and software. And we're talking about some of the applications that most businesses should be thinking about. So stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Listening to The Mechanics of Business. My guest, Rick Norberg, president, owner of Vertikal6 technology company. Now, one of the applications that's been around for years is CRM. And what does CRM stand for?
Customer Relationship Management.
Aha. And I don't know that everybody truly understands what that is, because they think because they have Outlook or because they have an accounting system, they have a CRM system.
Maybe at the most basic level, but that's not really what a CRM system is.
And so, what is a CRM?
So in a CRM system, you're basically keeping all of your corporate contacts, all of your customer information, all of your information on everything you do in one central location.
Okay, so that includes, in my mind, it's having run sales organizations, notes about what's going on with whether it's an existing customer or a potential customer.
Absolutely.
So if a salesperson leaves,
you've got access to that information. And I should kind of clarify what I said earlier. It's really about managing your customers and all of your contact information.
Yeah.
So in addition to managing client notes and what's going on within your customer base, your products that you're selling, what products each customer has, you could have your newsletter coming out of there, all those things.
Well, that's one of them. And a lot of these guys, whether it's an application you buy or whether it's something you use, quote unquote, in the cloud, have sort of these other modules. And it could be a drip marketing campaign. It could be email that allows you to keep in touch. What are the ways that you can utilize a CRM to keep in touch with your customers and make sure they're aware of you and don't forget you.
Sure. Well, most basic is the newsletter. Again, so you're pulling your contact information from CRM and merging it into whatever mail application you have, maybe like Constant Contact or something like that. From a campaign perspective, you can get very granular and sophisticated. So let's say you have customers that you service that are in the manufacturing vertical, and you want to inform them of a new product or possibly a potential patch or a vulnerability in their software. If you have everything logged in CRM appropriately and you know what they own, then you can get in contact with them as far as what they own and let them know there's a problem.
Right. If there's a new model of something coming out, and if you've got a special on, somebody typically or has a bunch of your XYZ product, and you're going to have a special on that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we work, I always think of it from our perspective, but if I look at it from a client perspective, let's say you're in retail, absolutely. I mean, you want to know, hey, Barbara always buys bangles or always buys necklaces like this. We're coming out with a new product in that line. You absolutely want to let her know about it. And with the CRM system, you have her contact information, potentially hooking into whatever she's bought in the past, and then you can keep yourself informed. And we also talked about the cloud and all that stuff. CRM is one of those applications that's really moving to the cloud in a big way.
And it's not expensive. I mean, I know of Zoho,
okay,
which if you're a single user by yourself is actually free.
Sure.
If you have a company, then it's a per user charge, or it comes up. But then they have all these other mods. They have a basic manufacturing system that's not really expensive. They've got a mail system that's not really expensive. They've got a little bit of everything.
Well, we're seeing a revolution in the way we connect. So traditionally, you had these companies that built the software that went on site. It was very expensive and all this other good stuff, and only the best could afford it. Then we had this revolution in software where you had like QuickBooks and all these other applications which were much less expensive for the average company to get into that market and make that happen. Now, with software as a service, the leader in CRM was Salesforce.com. That was the first. It was the big first SaaS application. And then everybody kind of bolted on from that and started building other SaaS applications. But you've constantly got these companies that are innovating, building, the next crazy Salesforce.com.
And the reason I sort of harp on CRM is I think in general, most businesses do a very poor job of staying in touch with their customers.
Sure. And I mean, there's also specific systems that are designed for specific industries, but if you don't take advantage of them, like anything else, it doesn't really work. So having one is great. Using it is something else.
Yeah, and again, some of this is you can set up, you can almost set up an entire year's worth of programs in these. And in January, I'm going to send this letter out, and assuming ahead of time, and in February it's going to be this, and in March it's going to be this. Or if something happens and you want to let everybody know, you just do a quick blast that says something happened.
That's a great actual example, because when in our business, let's say there's a new malware or a new virus that comes out or something that's impacting our customers in a big way, we can write an emergency newsletter and say, hey, watch out for this. I mean, we do it very sparingly, but we have the ability to do it quickly, which is important.
And again, customer loyalty, putting together a customer loyalty program, you need information. You need to know what they've purchased. You need to know how much they've purchased. You need to know who they are. And you need to have a mechanism to get to them.
Sure.
And again, a lot of business, especially retail businesses, if they can have that information and put a program like that together, it can be very effective at driving revenue.
Absolutely. And like we were talking, it's a constant evolution of, how do I get my small retail company to have something like a CVS care card? Is that possible? Can there be a CRM system that will track that kind of information and data? And I'm not sure if there is today. There probably is. But, that's where we're going with technology. It becomes more and more pervasive as we go forward.
Yeah, and a lot of retail point-of-sale systems have a back end that not only that captures this kind of detailed data that you can then use to report on or to track.
Sure. I mean, and even if you look at it from a tracking perspective and a presentation perspective, I have retail customers that have iPads which have some of their products on them, and especially wines, and you can scroll through the catalog and the seller, and if you have your rewards card, you can buy it from there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, so again, if you've, a lot of it makes your sales force, if you have a sales force, more efficient, but a lot of it, again, if your sales force is in the store, being, knowing that somebody, when you're sitting there and you're ringing up the purchase and being able to say, oh, gee, this person usually buys or has always bought such and such. It's a reminder. By the way, I know that such and such is something that you've typically bought.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, would you like to buy it again?
Yeah.
And even Amazon's famous for that. You open up their application and bam, there's all the stuff you bought like 6 months ago.
Known as upselling.
Yeah, are you out of barbecue sauce
Right.
yet? Would you like some more?
We always need to upsell, no matter what business it is.
Sure.
So you have to figure that out, and these systems help you do that.
They do. I mean, having access to timely information is a lot of what makes a business successful, especially when you're looking for that incremental sale.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to take our second break. You're listening to The Mechanics of Business. I'm Barry Mechanic. My guest, Rick Norberg, President, CEO, owner of Vertikal6, a technology and information systems company, talking about ways that you can use technology to help make your business more effective and efficient and profitable. So stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. You're listening to The Mechanics of Business. I'm Barry Mechanic with my guest, Rick Norberg from Vertikal6. So when you go into an organization that hasn't kept up,
Sure.
I guess one is what's the reason? What do they say is the reason why they haven't kept up?
Well, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, sometimes it's not knowing, right? So they have a provider who, maybe is a two-man band, and they only know what they know. Sometimes it's the business has changed hands, or there's a change of leadership, and the new leadership wants more technology than the old one did. You get into that, I've always done it this way, and the new leadership wants to do something different. And sometimes it's just evolution. Like a business reaches a certain stage of growth, and it's like I cannot function anymore the way that I have been functioning. So,
yeah, I have a client that I helped with an organizational issue, and I was looking at their systems, and they were moving. I guess they were getting the latest version of QuickBooks, and I didn't know very much about the manufacturing company, the manufacturing side of QuickBooks, but I could see how very quickly, within a matter of a couple of years, they would need a real manufacturing system because they were getting it. They had outsourced the assembly, but they were starting to do it themselves, and
Sure.
trying to keep track of inventory and parts and build sheets and things manually.
Yeah, once you reach a certain stage, you can use some basic tools until you reach that stage. Then you either go with a custom software product where you get it written for you, or you go with a off the shelf and usually customize it to your own needs.
Right. Well, in this case, a lot of what they do, or actually all of what they do, are custom designed.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, and every new product is a project.
Sure.
It's you got to manage a project to get the design done.
Yep.
And so I asked, what kind of project management software do you have to make sure this happens? And someone told me, well, I wrote a Gantt chart in Excel.
Yeah, that's
And-
kind of old school, but yeah.
And so I said, all right, does anyone, are you using it? Can I see it? And everyone said, no, we don't use it. So, well, why not? So, because it's just too cumbersome. And what it did was it would report out everything that has to happen in the next 2 months. And so, well, first of all, you can't manage a project on a 2-month basis. And you can maybe manage every 2 weeks.
Sure.
And there was no communicate. There was nothing built into it that, notified people if something was going to be late. And it was a Gantt chart, assuming everything went perfect.
Right, and you have to, in project management software, you actually have to use it and keep it updated and all that stuff. But Microsoft Project was probably the first on the market, like
Yeah.
it's an innovative tool. But now there are a ton of them, which integrate into every kind of system imaginable. So we went and talked about CRM and ERP applications and those sort of things which run businesses. I mean, it's only logical that you'd want your project management application to integrate with that. So when you start a new project for XYZ Corp, it pulls all the information out of the CRM system to set that up. If there's a portal, for your customers to log into so that they can see everything that's going on with them, you would want your project management software to show up there. That way, to your point, so it doesn't stagnate, the customer makes an update, you make an update, and the vendor makes an update. That way you can see the project moving along in real time.
Right. Well, not only are you tracking it to make sure it's on target, but when the time comes, the next project comes in, do you have the capacity to do it, and can you get it done in a timely basis?
And when you review it at the end, you need data like, wow, why was step 9 so long? Why did we so underestimate the workload in that step? And then going forward, you can refine your process.
Right. And again, these are, it sounds like it's a daunting kind of task to maintain this data, but if you do it, every day as it's happening, it's a couple of minutes. If you don't do it and you got to catch up, it's daunting.
Absolutely. It's overwhelming.
And it's again, like any system, if you don't maintain it, if you don't keep it up, it's going to be worthless.
Yeah, it's not going to work for you, and you really want to build the system around the people you have working for you. So you're not going to change someone, but you can optimize their time. I mean, we can start going into really in-depth pieces like personality profiles and how to optimize the system based on how the person interacts with it. I mean, that's kind of more of a sophisticated way to look at it, but at the very least, you want a system that has multiple access points. You can use it on a phone, on a tablet, on a PC. It's web-based, so you can use it 24/7. You really want to start to look at, how to make the system as accessible as possible.
Right. So this way, everybody could be working 24 hours a day.
If they want to,
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's, people work different schedules. Like, let's say you have an organization where you have a lot of part-time workers because they, are full-time moms and they want a part-time job. Like, why not make it easy for them to work when they can work rather than, the old standard adage of 8 to 5.
And people work differently. I mean, your point about being able to access things on a tablet or on a PC or on a phone or, whatever works for the person. Everybody has different, different comfort levels.
Absolutely. And I mean, we're just converging into an economy where, it's not like a traditional workday exists anymore. It's changing quite a bit as far as flexibility to do what you need to do when you need to do it.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're going to take our final break. You're listening to The Mechanics of Business. I'm Barry Mechanic. My guest, Rick Norberg, owner, president, CEO of Vertikal6, technology and information systems company, just who helps companies to become more efficient through the proper use of technology, and by that, hardware and software. So stick around. We'll be right back. Okay, I'm back with my guest, Rick Norberg, Vertikal6. So, Rick, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I know, again, we've talked about a bunch of things, and probably could talk about a whole bunch more.
Sure.
But I'm hoping that we've at least gotten some folks thinking about what they could or should be doing, and maybe need some help. So, how would they get a hold of you to maybe have you come in and take a look and see if there's a way to work together that you can help them?
Sure, you can give us a call on our main line, which is 401-825-4401, or check us out on the web, vertikal, the number 6.com.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Any last? What should every business owner do tomorrow when they walk in the door? Or I guess tomorrow's Sunday, but on Monday, in thinking about their technology?
I would say that, every business owner, when they're looking at their business, you always want to make it more efficient, more effective, and try to reduce your costs at the same time, which is like, the holy grail. So when you go into work tomorrow, just take a look at your most expensive asset, which is generally your people or your machines, and how can you use technology to make them more efficient, happier, and work better.
Right. Or if you don't, that sort of presupposes you understand the technology that's there, but you can look at it and say, well, what's taking up most of my people's time?
Exactly. That's where you start with problems that you have in your organization, like workflow issues where, wow, this step takes a long time, or geez, it'd be great if blah. There may be a technology solution for that issue.
Exactly. So, most owners will be able to identify the business problem or the process problem, and then you need somebody like Rick to maybe come in and say, is there a technology solution for that problem, or are there technology solutions that together will solve that problem?
Absolutely. I mean, in general, looking at it is free. I mean, you never know what you don't know. I mean, most people are focused on manufacturing or healthcare or retail. They're not thinking about the technology.
Right. And if you're in the business of selling products, whether that's certainly business to business or business to consumer, and it's an ongoing basis, CRM is something you really, if you're not utilizing a CRM system,
you should definitely be using a CRM, definitely be using a basic financial package, and then hopefully some kind of industry-specific solution.
All right. Well, with that, thanks so much for being on again. I appreciate it. Always good stuff. Again, what's your phone number? 401-825-4401. And again, the company is Vertikal6, Vertikal, and then the number 6.
.com, correct. Yeah.
.com. Rick, thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. It was fun.
Thanks, Barry. Same here.
And folks, as always, I appreciate your listening. I hope you'll listen again next week. If there's anything I can do to help you, or you have a topic you'd like to hear that we haven't touched, please send me an email at barry@mechanicsofbusiness.com. Again, take care. Thanks for listening, and I hope you listen again next week.